Senator, I want to jump to another topic right now. The Trump administration has lost its appeal and remains barred from using the Alien Enemies Act to deport migrants. A three-judge panel, federal appeals court panel, announced yesterday that it would not grant a stay on an earlier order that blocked the White House from using the wartime law to send alleged Venezuelan gang members to El Salvador. The decision was split 2-1. The lone dissent came from Judge Justin Walker, a Trump appointee. In a statement, a lawyer for the ACLU wrote, in part, the decision means that hundreds of more individuals will not be sent, perhaps for the rest of their lives, to a black hole notorious prison in a foreign country without any due process whatsoever. The Trump administration will likely ask the Supreme Court to review the case. Meanwhile, new video shows the moment federal authorities detained a Tufts University graduate student. Rumeysa Öztürk is a Turkish national with a valid student visa who has a master's degree from Columbia University. Her lawyer says the Department of Homeland Security agents apprehended her on Tuesday in Somerville, Massachusetts, as she was on her way to break her Ramadan fast with friends. In the video you see here, a plainclothes male agent wearing a hoodie and hat waved at her as he approached her. Öztürk appeared confused, tried to walk around the agent, but he steps in front of her to stop her. The two then speak briefly before she is placed in handcuffs. A senior Department of Homeland Security official tells NBC News Öztürk engaged in activities in support of Hamas. According to her lawyer, she was not given access to attorney for 24 hours and is now being held at a detention center in Louisiana. No criminal charges have been filed. Senator, what do you say about this? What can be done? It alone, just watching this video, is incredibly disturbing.
Yeah, the video is really chilling, and this should matter to every single American. Okay, first of all, the president doesn't need the Alien Enemies Act in order to remove from this country people who pose a threat to the nation, people who have engaged in criminal behavior or who have coordinated with terrorist groups. He has that power under existing law to remove from the country non-citizens. So he doesn't need this authority. What he is trying to do is put America on war footing. This is an act that has only been exercised 3 times in American history: during the War of 1812, during the First World War, and during the Second World War. It is a wartime authority. And what you really worry about is the president continuing to move forward in exercising wartime powers in order to suspend additional elements of the Constitution. He, of course, has shown affection for something called the Insurrection Act, which would put the military in charge of everyday law enforcement in this country. You are watching along multiple channels this massive slide away from democracy and democratic norms. And so that video is chilling because, A, the president doesn't need that act to be able to remove a threat, but B, it speaks to his willingness to try to put America in a kind of quasi-martial law that ultimately will come to be a threat not just to green card holders, but to American citizens as well. So it's a really worrying time, and everybody in America should care what's happening.
Yeah.
And Mika, to underscore this, another video. Last night, Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem put out a video on social media in which she is standing in the El Salvador prison in which those alleged Venezuelan gang members were sent, although we know, of course, that not everyone there is indeed affiliated with the gang. And she stands there and records a video with a backdrop behind her of shirtless prisoners, sort of flaunting the idea. And her message is, to those who are here legally, leave now, or you'll end up here. Again, many of those people, activists say, say no due process, no actual charges filed, and yet they're in a place that's considered the worst prison on earth.
And what's equally chilling in this vein, this topic, is, according to news reports, the woman scooped off the street in Somerville, Massachusetts. A couple of eyewitnesses saw it, kept asking,
right.
What are you doing? What are you doing?
Why are you covering your faces?
And they kept saying, you know, we're the police, moving along, we're the police, this is okay, and everything like that. Two of the witnesses, the eyewitnesses, according to the news reports, were then followed by a couple of people wearing the masks who were claiming to be the police, were followed for a block.
And people rightly wondering, why is she being arrested? Well, so far, she hasn't been charged with anything, so start there. But what we know is she wrote an op-ed with a couple of other graduate students a year ago in the Tough Student newspaper, very critical of the university's handling of the protests on campus, suggesting that Israel was engaged in genocide, saying that the school should divest from all Israeli companies, a lot of that stuff that we heard on campus a year ago. And so she's being accused of anti-Semitism. So you don't have to agree with what she believes or writes or says, but to snatch her off the street for that, unless there's something else we don't know, is outrageous.
Member of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, Democratic Senator Chris Murphy of Connecticut, thank you so much for coming on the show this morning.